Bad, the Beautiful, and the Stinky. Victoria Sylvain was the most beautiful girl in Mr. Jupiter's class. At least she thought so. I have the silkiest hair, she often said, the bluest eyes, and the most dazzling smile. Why, I'd be Miss America if I wasn't in fourth grade. Yes, Victoria had good looks, but also she had a bad temper. When angry, she threw tantrums, hurled insults, screamed, kicked, and spat. She erupts like a volcano, said Missy. And then she's not so lovely, joked Lenny. One morning, Mr. Jupiter clapped his hands. Class, he said, a skunk has forced the fifth graders to evacuate their classroom. Since they will be attending the school at Mooseheart Lodge 186 until their room has been fumigated, we have been asked to take over their safety patrol positions. He picked up a sheet of paper. I have a list of jobs. If you would like to volunteer for one, please raise your hand. Mr. Jupiter read the list. I'll take playground duty, said Rose. I'll take hall duty, said Stanford. But who wants bathroom duty? Sniggered Lenny. Mr. Jupiter shot him a warning look, then continued with the list. Soon everyone but Victoria had volunteered for a job. What would you like to do, Victoria? Asked Mr. Jupiter. Would you like to be a crossing guard? You could stop traffic. I certainly could, replied Victoria, but the wind would muss my hair. She flipped a carefully curled lock over her shoulder. Then perhaps you would like to help in the lunchroom, suggested Mr. Jupiter. That's an inside job. Victoria cringed. And scrape trays? I'd ruin my manicure. She blew on her perfectly sculpted nails, then buffed them on a sleeve of her satin blue blouse. Perhaps, said Mr. Jupiter, you would like to be a kindergarten monitor. The little ones line up inside where the wind won't blow your hair, and since there aren't any lunch trays to scrape, your nails will remain impeccable. What do you say? Will I get to wear one of those orange safety patrol vests? She asked. Orange sets off the highlights in my hair. Mr. Jupiter thought a moment. Those vests are usually reserved for the crossing guards, but I suppose we can arrange something. Then I'll do it, said Victoria. By the end of her first week, Victoria knew kindergarten patrol had been the right choice. Not only were the kindergartners easy to boss, but they showered her with tokens of their affection animal crackers, crayon drawings, fistfuls of dandelions. Even better, they complimented her all the time. I like your shirt, one of them would say with a shy smile, or I think you're nice, or best of all, you're so pretty. Then Victoria would bend down so the adoring tots could give her a hug, a quick one that wouldn't wrinkle her outfit. Kindergartners, Victoria told Bernadette, are very honest. One day, Victoria hurried to kindergarten patrol. She was wearing a pair of sparkly new unicorn earrings that complemented her creamy complexion and brightened her eyes. But when she leaned down so the little ones could get a better look, Mikey pinched his nose. Ick! He squealed. Your breath is stinky, stinky like my dog, Mose. He licks his butt. Butt breath, giggled Emily, who was in line behind him. Victoria's got butt breath. Butt breath, the other kindergartners repeated like parrots. Butt breath, butt breath, butt breath, butt breath, the other kindergartners repeated like parrots. Victoria felt herself steaming. Butt breath, boiling. Butt breath, the bell rang. Victoria stormed down the hall and into the office. Is my breath bad? She demanded. She huffed a big puff at Mrs. Struggles. The principal staggered backwards, knocking into a parent volunteer carrying a tray of cupcakes. Chocolate sprinkles flew everywhere. Your breath is so bad. It deserves 5 days detention, gasped Mrs. Struggles. Victoria clenched her fist. No, it's not, It's not, she yelled, and she raged into the nurse's office. Is my breath bad? She demanded. She huffed a big huff at Nurse Bettatine. Nurse Bettatine squashed a surgical mask over her nose. That's sick, she gagged. She should go home for the day. Let me call your mother. Victoria raised her fist above her head. Why won't anyone tell me the truth? She shrieked. She roared into the library. Is my breath bad? She demanded. She huffed a big puff at Miss Turner. The mascara on Miss Turner's false eyelashes melted, and her hair uncurled. Your breath is not pretty, she croaked. Not pretty, screamed Victoria. Me, not pretty. She pounded her fist into the air, stomped her feet, and hurled herself down the hallway into the fourth grade classroom. She's blown her top, shouted Amisha as Victoria banged doors and kicked over chairs. Victoria, Mr. Jupiter said firmly, stop this behavior at once. But Victoria couldn't stop. Whirling like a blonde tornado, she ripped the books apart off the bulletin board and flung them to the ground. Calvin began chewing on his eraser. Lil began reciting a poem about death, and Ham ducked behind his desk and tried to crawl away. Like a snake, Victoria whipped around. She grabbed him by his collar. Fear filled Ham's eyes as Victoria pulled him closer and closer until their nose touched. Tell me the truth, she hissed. Do I have bad breath? Ham's mouth puckered. His stomach lurched. Yes, he stammered. Why is everyone lying? Shrieked Victoria. Pushing him away, she advanced on her classmates. They quickly huddled behind Mr. Jupiter. Victoria, the teacher said calmly, you need to control yourself. Let me teach you a few relaxation techniques I learned while cat-sitting for the Dalai Lama. But Victoria was beyond control. Her maniacally glittering eyes alighted on Lenny. With measured steps, she approached. Lenny gulped. If there was ever a time for quick thinking, this was it. She stopped in front of him. You tell me, she snarled. Lenny looked frantically around. What could he do? He had to save himself before her bad breath knocked him unconscious. His survival instincts kicked in, and Lenny gave a little dry cough and dramatically cleared his voice. Gee, Victoria, he said in a fake croaking voice, I've got such a bad cold. I can't smell a thing. The others pretended to sneeze, wheeze, and sniffle too. It looks like we've all caught a cold, announced Stanford. Victoria's eyes narrowed, but before she could erupt again, Mr. Jupiter said, That's not a problem. It just so happens I know the cure for the common cold. An ancient shaman told it to me while we were rafting on the Ganges River. Can you guess what it is? The children shook their heads. Spearmint, cried Mr. Jupiter, and he flipped open a tin of breath mint. Ooh, squealed Ham. Goody. He pushed his way toward the teacher, but Mr. Jupiter stopped him. I think Victoria should have the first mint. After all, we don't want her to catch a cold like the rest of us. He turned to the still glowering Victoria. Have one, he urged. Oh, on second thought, have two. And the moral of this chapter is, in times of dire need, clever thinking is the key.